Great, thanks so much, Rosie. Right, we're now going to move to a time of question and answers. And a number of you have been adding questions into the Q&A box, which is fantastic. We've also had some questions submitted ahead of this evening by people who signed up to the event. So we'll also try and answer some of those. Please do continue to submit your questions. As you can see, we've got rather a lot, and we only have about 20 minutes. So I'm going to try and distill some down. It's very helpful that you've been voting for the questions that you want to see. So that's really fantastic. I've put us back onto gallery view so you can see all of the panelists. And I think we're going to probably kick off with the first question, which has got the most votes. It's about tax, so I'm going to direct it towards Justin and Rowan first of all, and I think it actually probably we can combine the question from Rebecca with the third question down, which I think from the anonymous attendee, which I think is sort of asking the same thing, and it's saying, if taxation is investment in the common good, as Lord Williams asserts, how then can taxpayers insist their tax money is directed to this end and not directed to more nefarious purposes? And similarly, the question from the anonymous attendee says, re-taxation doesn't assume governments are responsible in how they allocate those funds. So I think that the question is asking something similar, which is, how do we make sure that governments are using the funds that we pay in tax in a responsible way? So Rowan, shall I come to you first, and then we'll go to Justin?
Okay, thank you. Really important questions there. One of my heroes is a Welsh Quaker poet called Walter Williams, no relation, who in the 1950s refused to pay a proportion of his taxes because he didn't want to support the Korean War, and actually went to jail for that. And I remember in my days in the CND in the 80s, there was talk about that sort of response. It seems to me that there are two things here. The first is it's very important to have transparency, as I said, about a taxation system, so that we do know something of the proportion of where money goes. And secondly, rather obviously, we hold our governments accountable. We have the chance of pressing them on how money is used. We have the chance of scrutinizing, or we should have the chance of scrutinizing how revenue is directed. So this broadens out, doesn't it, into a wider issue about how transparent our governmental system is as a whole, what kinds of accountability we expect from those in power, and how active we are prepared to be as individuals in political parties, grassroots, political organizations, and generally the whole range of ways in which we can try to hold our governments accountable. And I'm speaking as somebody who's still actually a member of CND and still advocating about weapons of mass destruction. So yeah, I don't have a quick fix for it, but I think those are the considerations we ought to be starting with.
Thank you. Justin?
We found some masks because there was smoke beginning to come into the building, and most of us strapped these on.
You state categorically.
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state